Every YouTuber knows when your YouTube channel is doing well, make a video that probably no one will click on. But I've wanted to talk about this for a while, and that is messaging apps. Specifically, every single app being a messaging app now. And obviously, it's been a takeover that's been happening since 2016. You could even go back to like 2010 with the emergence of iMessage, which, you know, I used on my iTouch 4 back in the day. But I want to talk about like this in terms of how it makes social media antisocial. And of course, the purpose of it is pretty much to trap you to a specific app. But it's gotten to a point now for me where it just makes no sense. Like, I am having different conversations with the same person on WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram. I'm not joking. I'm thinking of one friend in particular where in each different chat, we're talking about different things. And I'm thinking how insane that is that I will ignore his messages on Instagram and Facebook, but reply to him on WhatsApp. And we both know I'm ignoring the other messages, but we just act like it's totally normal. I will only reply to one thing he says, and it won't cross over between them. And I know for a lot of people that might seem insane, but I also bet there are other people who can relate. And it's made even worse when you're actually in the same group chats as well. So me and this person probably share like maybe 6 or 7 different chats together across all social media platforms. And there's so much other stuff I want to talk about. Like me specifically, I have just like so many unopened messages on everything, made worse by the fact that I have like 2 kind of like profiles. I have my YouTube profile, my social media personality, and I have my real life personality. So I have to juggle both of them. But even if I wasn't juggling both of them, I'd still have just like so many messages to deal with. And I want to talk about like the mentality we have towards messages. You know, it gets to a point where we won't even open them because we'll see like one friend has sent us 16 messages in a row. And I'm so guilty of this. I know I am. I know if you guys have messaged me, which a few people on Instagram probably have watching this video, I send so many messages back because I always want to have like some sort of meaningful conversation in the DMs. I don't want to be too brief to come across as rude, but then I know what happens is people will see that and never ever reply. And that's actually happened. We've actually been having a conversation, me with strangers, and they just don't reply because I sent them so much stuff. But I get it as well because I'm the exact same. There are definitely people who've messaged me on Instagram where my DMs are open, where it's just been buried. Like so many weeks ago, you probably sent me 4 messages, and then I never opened that in the week, and then it just got buried under loads and loads more messages, which I get all the time. So I want to talk about all of this today, but I will shout out my own social media. So follow me on Instagram, my travel and my personal one. Yes, I do reply to a lot of DMs on my personal Instagram. So if you ever wanted to DM me, that's the place. But also I have Blue Sky and Threads, and Blue Sky is getting a DM feature soon. Just another social media app I have that definitely doesn't need a messenger. And obviously I have my Patreon, and if you support the Patreon, you get access to the Discord server where we talk about a variety of things as well. And one more thing, because I promoted my social media, please, people who have messaged me on Instagram, don't get offended by anything I'm saying here. Like, I do like talking to you guys on Instagram. The only thing I want to highlight is I just get overwhelmed by everything. It's not just the Instagram messages. I think if I just only had my YouTube Instagram and then the only messages I was getting, I could handle it. But I have so many others. And on that note, I want people to think about this. How many unopened DMs do you have across social media? And I'm going to tell you mine. It's actually fucking insane. And also, one unopened DM isn't like one not opened message. It can be like loads. And I know I definitely have that. Now, I'm not going to show you the screenshots of all of them because it's got my real name and stuff. But on Instagram, I have 6 unopened chats on my personal one. I have 11 on my YouTube one. On my personal Facebook, I have 8 unopened messages. On my WhatsApp right now, I have 9. And one of the people who's messaged me has actually sent me 16 messages without reply. And that's totally fine with this guy because we do take so long to message each other back. So that's all right as well. And that can kind of factor in. And on top of that, I also have 116 unopened emails. So I have all of that stuff just waiting for me to click on and reply to. The emails are less important, but a lot of those DMs I do take time to reply to, especially my YouTube one, where I am in essence, talking to strangers. Although a lot of you I have DM'd, for months, even years at this point. We have a good DM relationship, if that's even a thing. But then a lot of people are just like new people who will message me. And I also think I have about 3 message requests as well. And all of that together, do you know what it makes me want to do? Not open any of them. Which kind of defeats the purpose of having this function in the first place. And I don't use my LinkedIn, and also I don't have TikTok, and I don't have Snapchat. And also I shut my Twitter DMs like years ago, right? So I don't get any new DMs on there from people I'm not mutuals with. But some of you guys will be the same as me, that you have so many apps that are also a messaging app. And why is this a thing? And that's kind of what the video is about. But I want everyone to cast their mind back to a day before like messaging apps took over. So I was born in 1995. The first social media I had was Bebo, and then it was Facebook. Now, Facebook did have messages. I think it had messages, but most of the time we posted on each other's wall. People could join in, but I think there was direct messages. But the big one back in the day for me was MSN Messenger. And a lot of people would spend time on that. I don't believe you could have group chats, but I might not actually remember that. Maybe there were, but I didn't really have any. And then also, a lot of people back in the day, you had BBM Messenger, which was another instant messenger for BlackBerry phones and has a very interesting history in relation to the London riots as well. And of course, back in the day, you had your old phone. So 2009, 2010, most of us still didn't have smartphones. I think I got my first smartphone in 2011. I got my first smart device, my iTouch 4, in Christmas 2010, I believe. So there was a lot of time I just had a pay-as-you-go phone. And what you'd have to do, for people who don't remember those days, you'd have to go to the shop and the newsagents and say, can I have £5 credit for like O2 or whatever? And you'd get that much, and a text message would be like 20p. So when you were out and about in the world, you could call and text, but you had to top up your phone to do this. And why BBM Messenger took off is that you could get a contract that was cheap and use this instant messenger as much as you wanted. But for people like me who just had a regular phone for a while, it was just like absolutely extortionate. But the good thing it did was it kind of segmented everything. And actually people didn't have access to you 24/7. And that's a big theme of this video. Everyone now has access to you, not only 24/7, but no matter where you go. So back in the day, if you wanted to contact me in like early 2010, you could ring me. If I was on the computer using MSN, or if I was on the computer using Facebook and you saw I was online, then you could send me a personal direct message on Facebook, which I could take time to reply on, or I could be online on MSN and we could initiate a chat, a one-on-one chat. But what it meant is my kind of time and my replies were consensual, and there was no kind of like massive social aspect to this because it was just one-on-one. MSN, one-on-one. Facebook messages, one-on-one. Facebook wall posts, I could just ignore that, say I didn't see it, or say I was out and busy. And if you really wanted me, you could text me, but then I could take my time to reply to that text to one person, and it also cost money. So it was more valuable. I'm not going to spam you with 16 messages in a row because that would cost me money and I'd burn up the money I topped up. And, I'm only a kid at this point, so my parents aren't giving me loads of money to do these things. But yeah, sometimes technological advancement doesn't bring good things with it. So in 2010, I remember getting iMessage, but a lot of people I know didn't have iPhones at the time, so it was kind of useless. I had like maybe 2 or 3 friends I'd sometimes text on it when I was at home using the Wi-Fi, but when I went out, I couldn't use it because my iTouch didn't have 3G signal, so it was pretty useless there. So it was pretty much the same. I'd text people. And I remember something shifted, and I can't put my finger on it because I didn't get WhatsApp originally. I still use iMessage, and me and my girlfriend have been together 11 years, and we pretty much use iMessage back in the day. But at some point, along came Facebook Messenger, and I think it must have been like 2015, 2016. And to a lot of people, you were finally getting exposed to the concept of the group chat. And although I'm sure these existed before, it was this whole other way to communicate. It was instant messenger, but you could literally be in a group chat with like 20 other people, and you have that social pressure now of getting in on the group chat and keeping up with the group chat. And WhatsApp made this essentially explode because no matter your device, you could get WhatsApp on it. It wasn't like iMessage or BBM where it was very exclusive to a particular brand. Now you could just have instant messenger replacing text. And now you're just accessible to people all the time. And then every single social media app decided we also must have a DM feature. So like I outlined for you at the start, all the unopened DMs I have across everywhere. And it's not consensual at all for the most part because people can just message anyone now and you expect them to reply, I guess. Or maybe if you reply once, they expect you to reply forever. And if you're like me and you have like 2 different lives, you have the YouTube view and you have the real life view, it just gets completely overwhelming. And why do all these apps offer a messenger when you don't need it? I mean, because they want you to stay on their platform, don't they? Ignoring Zuckerberg nearly having a monopoly, Twitter has private messages because they want you to do everything on Twitter. The same way Instagram has it, the same way Facebook does it, the same way a load of these things do it. I think TikTok even has one now as well. Because they don't want you ever leaving the app. And they also know, you spend more time replying to people as well because you might be thinking out your replies. So all around, these social media companies want your attention generally. And having like DMs, private chats, or just group chats now. And now Instagram has this like Discord like channel feature now as well, just to hook you even more to this social media site. And in the attention economy, it's just another part of their arsenal designed to get you hooked to these apps. But like I said, the consequence is we all have multiple social media apps. This isn't China. We're not all on WeChat. We all have so many different ones. And I'm sure you experience this as well. Sometimes I really want someone to reply to my message. This happens every week when I'm panic organising five-a-side football, where I'm posting in the group chat, tagging people on Facebook, can you reply and let me know if you're playing? And then sometimes I go on WhatsApp and then even onto Instagram to keep messaging these people saying, are you going to play? Are you going to play? Because they're probably doing the same thing I do, is when you're getting so many messages, you don't actually pay attention to any of them. And it's super detrimental because no matter how many times I contact people on various different platforms, not just for the football example, sometimes they just won't reply until they're good and ready. And while saying that, I kind of thought of something. It's the death of the casual message. Because for me personally, when I reply to one, I start replying to all of them, but I get into the headspace of, okay, now it's time to DM, but that means I have to set aside like 20 minutes to reply to all my DMs. And then I don't want to do that every single day. So even now I'm thinking right now, I owe people money from like a stag do I went on. And I messaged them asking for their bank details, but now I've ignored a couple of them for a couple of days because I need to sit down and go through like all my DMs. It's just exhausting. Now, I'm not alone, and this has been documented for a while, although I couldn't find many videos on this. I read an article in The Guardian, which I thought was quite good. Why too many messages make us want to throw our phones at the wall. So when Sene Lara, a 28-year-old video producer in LA, was confronted by her friends about her lack of communication in the group chat, the accusations were as follows. She only caught up every few days, that's like me. When she did, it was barely an interaction. Lara spent time hearting messages instead of responding, and sometimes she would never respond. Lara did not deny it. She knew she sometimes preferred to throw her phone in a corner and completely avoid it rather than deal with the onslaught of requests. It wasn't until Lara addressed her behaviour in therapy that she realised she felt anxious from texting because of her tendency to please those around her. As therapists described, people pleasers are less likely to have boundaries around communication, which smartphones barely provide. I never understood why I would be so difficult to communicate with, but then I realised it was all online. In person, Lara felt comfortable talking with people, but when communication came down to a text message, an email, or a direct message, she wanted to tap out. While social media and messaging apps claim to keep us more connected to each other, many younger users are finding themselves exhausted from receiving constant notifications, balancing numerous exchanges at once, and carrying conversations that can last all day, and sometimes over the course of a week. The after effect, delayed responses, forgetting to get back to someone entirely, and a need for frequent phone breaks. And I relate to this article so hard. In fact, a 2020 study exploring the effects of information overload and online conversation dynamics found that the overexposure to information can suppress the likelihood of response by overloading users. The average American has 47 unread text messages and 1,600 unopened emails, and yet the average phone screen time for American adults is 4 0.2 hours per day more than ever, this suggests people are spending more time on their phones and still have less time to complete conversations. We are all Senate Lara, really, aren't we? Because so many of us do that. And so many of us do what I've described, right? It's something now which it seems to be inescapable that you just ignore all contact, but that means you ignore them equally. You will ignore important messages that need instant replies because you categorize these direct communications as the same thing. Intrusions into your personal space without any consent, and whether it's someone just sending you a stupid TikTok or someone actually asking you an important question that needs a reply within the hour, you just don't want to answer it. And I totally get it as someone who's completely overwhelmed by direct messages, that you just don't want to reply to any of them, but you also don't want to reply to all of them, despite the fact that I'm having direct messages with people I've known for 20 years and who are my friends and I want to talk to. I'm ignoring them as much as I'm ignoring some rando who sends me a hate DM on Instagram, because I'm viewing it as all the same thing, all the same exhausting thing, and I feel like I have to reply to everything. But if I'm going to do that, I need to take time out of my day to do that. And obviously in the attention economy, because of, profit motive, capitalism, none of the social media companies would really allow, let's say, a third party app to come in and be the chat for everyone. Like, you couldn't link your Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat and TikTok to one messenger. That would keep it all centralized, because why would you? And I guess that is kind of what WhatsApp was advertised for the phone ecosystem. But now we have that amongst so many different messengers, it just becomes so pointless. And it goes to my point of another video I made about why, TikTok and Twitter are so terrible now, and talking about enshittification and why the user experience is like degrading so much. But in that video, I also talked about every social media platform becoming the exact same thing. And while saying that, I just realized I also have 9 messages on Reddit as well, which I haven't brought up yet. But Reddit is now like TikTok in some ways. You have like a video player and you can start scrolling like TikTok. Twitter does this as well. YouTube Shorts is now a rival to TikTok. Instagram obviously copied TikTok with Reels, but Instagram also copied Snapchat as well, with like so many other different features. And all of these social media apps are just basically indistinguishable from each other. They all serve the exact same purpose, apart from, because you have so many, you have so much division among like your time and like what people you talk to on which. And now, as it's getting worse, I have Twitter, I have Threads, and I have Blue Sky, and they all serve the exact same function. But this video isn't really talking about solutions, because I'm just pointing out a problem. But like, what is the solution to this? What is the solution to having like 50 unopened DMs? What is the solution to being in multiple group chats while having 3 DMs with one of your friends who's in that group chat where you talk about different things in all of them? It's like we're segmenting different conversations for different apps. And I actually am doing that with this one friend I'm thinking of. And like that article outlined for The Guardian, there's the peer pressure element. If you're not keeping up, well, of course you're going to miss the banter, you're going to miss the jokes, but also people are going to be thinking, what the fuck's this person's problem? They're not even engaging in our relationship anymore. And that's why sometimes technology growing and advancing is not always a good thing. Sometimes the more basic forms, maybe the 2009 form I had of messaging, where you had your text messages, then you had your instant messenger on a desktop or a laptop, and maybe had some sort of like direct message on Facebook. Maybe less was more back then, and you'd actually reply, and you'd actually use social media for its purpose of being social virtually on the internet, which we seem to be increasingly moving away from, where everyone just wants to make a little safe bubble for themselves on the internet and not reply to anyone, which I know I've been doing lately, especially as someone who's been on the battlegrounds of Twitter like my entire adult life, fighting with randos. Now I just don't even want to engage with anything like that anymore. Now, like I said, there are no solutions, but here is one thing I do recommend to everyone, and it's just to make yourself feel better. First of all, turn off your notifications for all of these, unless it's important. So I know on my phone, I have Do Not Disturb on all the time, and the only people who could break through that are my girlfriend and my mum and my dad. I don't have notifications on for Facebook Messenger. I definitely don't have notifications on for any other messenger. And I know what messages I prioritize. Like on Facebook, I know it's the football one, so I'll go onto that when I need to, and I'll keep up to date with that one specifically. Like I'll literally go on my phone, just to check that. So put do not disturb on, customize your settings. But also here's another one as well. When you go to bed, this is something I've been doing recently and I love it so much. If you're on an iPhone, put on sleep mode. What sleep mode does is you don't get any notifications. And when you look at your phone in the morning, like look at the home screen before you unlock it, there will be nothing there. And when you open your phone, you'll see nothing as well. So you have to go on each app individually and like look at the messages or whatever. And it's such a better way because when you wake up, you aren't overwhelmed by 50 messages on a group chat. You're not overwhelmed by like loads of text messages from loads of different people across loads of different apps. It's just nothing. And although it might not be a good thing in replying quicker, we all know we're not replying quickly anyway, right? So if we all know and agree we aren't replying instantly to instant messenger, what is the harm in making sure we don't wake up to an absolute barrage of messages? If anyone has any better ideas of engaging with the overwhelming amount of DMs, please post it in the comments. But yeah, just a little fun one today. And although I like to get political, I like to talk about economics on this channel, I mean, you could blame capitalism for this in a way because, like I said, every social media platform is essentially the same thing. So therefore, it has to have an instant messenger. I also think there's stuff to do with like psychology and everything else and just how humans act involved in this. But I just thought it'd be a fun one to talk about because it's been annoying me for a while and I feel like I need to say it. But yeah, as I said, please don't be turned off giving me a message on Instagram if you do like want to talk or message me something. I do enjoy getting messages. I'm just saying overall, with the amount I receive from everyone in my real life and my YouTube life across all these social media profiles, it can just get overwhelming to the point where I won't reply for 3 weeks. But as people probably can attest to in the comments here, I actually am good at replying eventually. Like I do remember eventually. But anyway, that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.